will say, demonstrate true and fair, and the trust will be created. So that is enabling trust. If we have to enable trust, we need to be very honest, independent, excellence, and integrity, what the institute always pronounce. Then coming to enabling sustainability. Madam also talked about the sustainability, and we know that, and my dear friend Abhijit, who is sitting somewhere here, he also talks about always people, power, and profit. Sustainability, we all are talking sustainability, and probably yesterday also the president told to the audience that this is the sustainable, I mean, the entire program has been structured in such a manner that it is 100% sustainable. Friends, now we are coming to our topic, that emerging avenues for professionals. I will talk about professionals, not the chartered accountants alone, because from across the world, everybody is not those 113 or 150 countries participating, they don't call themselves as chartered accountants. They call themselves as a professional accountants. India has, again, even though it's a sake of repetition, I'll repeat, 3.5 lakh members, more than 8 lakh students. The presence of Indian ICAI being more than in 43 countries, more than in 56 cities of the world, country growing by leaps and bounds, 5th largest economy, just surpassing the economy of the UK, though in the per capita terms, we are far, far behind, 38 times lesser than UK, whom we just surpassed, but still, we are 5th largest economy. We are called partner in nation building. What do we understand by partner in nation building? Partner means those who share the surplus, those share the goodwill, good wishes, everything. If the country grows, the chartered accountants will also grow. Now, coming to the growth of the country, our GDP now, after negative contraction, we have come to 7%. I mean, it was projected 7.5% to 8%. Now, again, a little bit going down, but in 2024, it may be more than 8%. So, GDP projected more than 7%. And the trend is definitely in favor of the citizen and for the chartered accountants. Friends, the theme of the G20 also, yesterday we talked about sustainability. That is the, we talked much. Now, I have a small presentation where I'll be giving the, putting the ball, set the ball rolling for my panelists, where I have captured what are the emerging trends. So if you look at my presentation, may I request the organizer to please move through these slides.
Should we move to a side?
IT. If we talk any seminar, conference, it will be not complete if we don't talk about the IT. IT also disruptor. But then, as we say always, the opportunity comes, challenges comes with the opportunity. It is for us to understand the challenges and then come out with the opportunity. Next, please. Now, if I talk about what are the disruptor, the disruptor is artificial intelligence, ABCD. As we talk about ABCD of the IT, artificial intelligence, I'll not go into detail because then panelists are there. I'm not the technical person also. Blockchain, cyber security, and also cloud computing and big data. I started with data because I wanted to make it A, B, C, D. Then otherwise B will come, not data will come. Now, there was a news that in iAudit, the 2 days work can be done in 2 hours due to. So, and what Madam Sitharaman said, that CA must ensure adherence to fair and transparent practice, developing sustainability standard, increasing need for technology adoption, blockchain, artificial intelligence. I mean, she also insisted on trust, she insisted on sustainability, and then she insisted on IT. Without IT, today we can't think of. That's the disruptor. Now, what COVID has given us? Remote workforce. Today, my son, who is an IT professional, since last 2 years, when he joined, he is working from home. Though no, I'm not happy because he has lost many things. Though he's, whatever he's earning, he's saving money. But what he's lost, social connections, the personality development, that he has total lost. Daily I scold him, why don't you go and join your firm? Instead of sitting here in Kolkata, you go and sit in Bangalore, wherever you have to work. Online marketing, still, Abhijit will agree with me, we are far, far behind. Though Abhijit worked very hard in the council to see that we are allowed, but fine. We had our own limitations, data analytics. Now, friends, despite of IT, professional remain professional. Nobody can substitute professionals. Yesterday when we saw, robots were talking about, in one of the sessions before inauguration, they were talking about football. But then they only talked. They could not play. The play has to be done by Abhijit and his team only, or Dheeraj and his team, or PR Ramesh. Now PR Ramesh does not want to play. That's a different story. He said that I sit in my home and I don't play. Now, what are the emerging avenues? For all three of you, what are the emerging avenues? Merger acquisition. Tata. Now, all 7 companies are being merged. Reddy, they are talking about the merger. HSBC, L&T merger, or acquisition. Merger acquisition, I will use interchangeably. Adani, on probably across the world, not that kind of merger or acquisition everywhere it has happened. So it's a huge scope. Now, if we talk about valuation, recently, valuation has been a very old profession. And I always tell my friends that don't take valuation that IBBI has come out as the valuation profession. That's not a profession. If you become a good valuation professional, I mean, you can demand any kind of remuneration that you can think of also. So SDFC valuation, now some of the organization came out that yes, we did all the valuation, we did all the income tax, etc., etc. Now in valuation startup, lot of startup, unicorn, everything is coming. And daily basis we are finding that the valuation has increased from billion to trillion. I mean, it's like, I don't know how it goes up. So now forensic. Forensic is nothing new. It's an old wine in a new bottle. But fine, IBBI has given much more forensic opportunity, which was not there that much. Now, stress asset. I was reading in today only some IBBI publications, 2.4 lakh crore, more than which amounts to more than 35% of the realization, which previously before that IBC came in, realization in 5 years was less than 25% and litigation, etc. In liquidation also, the going concern. So huge scope in stress asset because I am now practicing in stress asset, so I know more data on stress asset than on the accounting, auditing, Indias. I find that Indias is very, very boring. Though at one point of time, I also used to be a speaker. Outsourcing. Now, if you look at the data, outsourcing has huge opportunity. But why only? Certain big pockets only get all the accounts. Only certain big pockets. If you look at the data in billion, trillion dollar, but I'm sure Krishnan and Venkat both are kind enough, and they will be giving insight how even the mid-core firm, I will not talk about the small firm, mid-core firm, can build their capacity. And that is why so big number has come here, sir. Just see the number. I mean, I did not expect that this big number will be having there. And then coming the last point, that is the fintech. In fintech, we all know what fintech is. We just many of us has only heard fintech. But what exactly fintech is? How this domain, accountancy domain, are we only limited to accountancy? No, we are much more than accountancy. Now over to my dear friends. I'll request all of you to please take your seat and be ready. So how we will be going to, we have structured this program. I'll be requesting each one of the panelists to speak for 3 to 5, maximum 5. 3 to 5 minutes. I'm very strict chairman, very strict moderator, 3 to 5 minutes. And then we'll be firing the question. The question will be, we'll be expecting the question answer to be very short. We want to raise as many questions as possible. Since we have started 15 minutes late, we'll try to stretch. If you all permit, we'll try to stretch, but not beyond 7, not beyond 7. We have received some questions also. We have received some questions from audience, but we will be taking questions online. And from this audience, we'll have only very few questions, 1 or 2. If you feel that is very important, kindly raise your hands. We will take from audience also. So what I would like to start, I'd like to start from Balaji. See, though Venkat's name is also God name, but Balaji, we all very commonly understand Venkat and Balaji is one and same. So Venkat was asking me, in what way you will be starting. Then suddenly, Balaji.
Recording in
if
progress.
Ganesh would have been there, I would have given preference to Ganesh. So Balaji, may I request you?
He's double. He's Venkatram and Balaji.
Venkatram and Balaji.
May I request you to speak for 3 to 5 minutes. Thank you very much. Balaji.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the introduction. I think that was fantastic in terms of the possible avenues which are available to chartered accountants. But I'll start off slightly more at a granular level. I think before one starts looking at opportunities, one needs to understand that professionals needs to keep their ears to the ground and keep their eyes open for opportunities coming. I'm telling this because my firm, I'll talk about my firm for 2 minutes, within the 3 minutes which is being given. True and Fair Professional Network has come out of a situation where I kept my ears to the ground, where I saw that the audit profession was being challenged in terms of quality under various scenarios, and I thought that I should promote a firm which is supporting audit quality for audit firms. And that is how it emerged. So keeping your ears to the ground gives you opportunities which you can definitely exploit. That is the first thing. The second thing is you need to be prepared to take risks. It is not that you invest 1,000 today, get 1,100 tomorrow. The returns will come over a period of time. You need to be prepared to take risks, and you need to be prepared to wait for the returns to come. You can't be impatient. It is not like an audit client where there is a minimum fee which is coming year on year. That will not happen. Here, there are a lot of uncertainties. You need to be prepared to take risks. And third is you need to understand the expectations of the customer. Opportunities come when you want to really serve the customer. It can't be your own perspective of trying to create a product or a solution. It should be something what the customer wants. So keeping ear to the ground and understanding the customer are sort of interrelated, and that should be followed to identify the opportunities. And most of the opportunities which has been presented here are definitely available and should be pursued.
Thank you, Bala. May I now request Krishan to kick your ball for 3 to 5 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity. So, we're talking about emerging avenues for accountants. And, when I was thinking about the topic, I was just thinking about the world around us. Today, we are living in a world where we do not know what's coming next. We are all guessing as to how global economies will perform. And, this is something which has been happening for many years now. We've been talking about a VUCA world. I think almost VUCA, the phrase is being now said that it is passé, because now VUCA has become part of our lives. We should be adapt to living in a VUCA world. But the volatility which is there, the uncertainty which is there continues to be relevant. And now what does it do? What opportunities does it create? I mean, when you look at a world which is as uncertain, when there could be huge amount of volatilities, and then you look at what are the disruptions that are being caused. You look around us, we have had COVID. The 2 years of COVID have actually accentuated many of those disruptions that we were fearing might happen. Now let me talk about few of them. So the disruptions, let's say, caused by differences in age. We had this problem in Japan. Now the problem from Japan has actually got transported into the West as well. We have an aging population in there. The needs of an aging population is very, very different. We talked about, generally we talk about disruption. There is conflict today. We're living in a world where there is huge amount of conflict. Now, when we talk about conflict, it is not just the conflict that we saw initially. There was, people said there's Cold War between the US and China and so on and so forth. Now we see a real conflict where countries are at war. Now, what does it do to regions like Europe and others, etc.? How do their economies fare, etc.? And how do constituents like us respond is going to be another one. Then we talk about asymmetry. You know, you look at the recovery that we have had from COVID. You know, all of us now agree, or most of us agree, that we have had a K-style recovery. When we speak about a K-style recovery, it means that some of us are much better off than we were in the past. Some of us are worse off than we were in the past. You know, so, you know, again, it's creating certain amount of disruption. Then we look at polarization. You know, I think we can talk for hours and hours and hours in even a fuller room, sir, as to what is the, you know, whether deglobalization is here to stay, or is it just we will always be living in a global world. I think there is that's an endless discussion. And I'm sure all of us have our private views on that. But that again is going to be something that we will have to live with. You know, some of us might believe that no, the whole focus on deglobalization is only for the near term. Eventually we have to be globalized, but that will impact many things that will happen in our ecosystem. And then we talk about disruptions caused by something like technology, which you addressed. You know, you mentioned a bunch of things, AI, blockchain, so on and so forth. Those are again things which are disrupting us. We did not see that in 1991 when I started auditing, when I took a huge ledger in a place called Raipur. And I'm sorry to say, but you know, I got scared because a lizard came out of that ledger, which I was carrying for my GL checking. You know, today, I don't think any of us do that, right? So there is huge amount of disruption which is being caused by technology and, you know, all the terms that we are actually facing. Now look at each of those terms. And you see that in this world which is so disrupted, we always say that, you know, accountants have to be the harbingers of trust. I think one of the things that we need to now think is that trust, the definition of trust needs to be so much more expanded than ever before. You know, there has to be trust in everything. And we are talking about the situation where we are saying that trust is not only with shareholders today, it has to be with stakeholders. Honorable Finance Minister said the same thing yesterday. We are talking about trust being such a wider term today. I mean, you know, you look at data. Elon Musk did not acquire Twitter for such a long time because he said that you gave me fake data. Now somebody has to review that data. We talk about algorithms. Can you trust those algorithms? Somebody has to review those algorithms. Those are opportunities that will emerge for this community of ours. We are talking about significant amount of disruption which is being caused, let's say, by things like climate change. Everybody is talking about climate change, but we think about climate change more so when 3 games in Melbourne get washed out. But the problem also is that we also see corporations. We also see corporation after corporation actually focusing on ESG, and some of them have better market cap. Now somebody has to provide assurance on that also. And you know, ESG is a very broad term. People talk only about climate change. Why not so much about social? Why not so much about diversity? Those are huge factors. And of course, governance has always been a factor. So if you look at it, there is so much opportunity which is arising because of the disruptions that have been caused around us. I think it's only for us to see deeper with a lens that we always used to have and spot them. And I can tell you that those opportunities are to scale.
Thank you, Krishan. So now, lastly, but I will start question first with you, Venkat. So over to Venkat.
Thank you. I think I'll stand there because I counted these guys didn't spend 10 minutes, so I have more time. But I do know that I have a very tough chairman, so I will be a little cautious on time. Thank you very much. And, you know, I see my dear friend Ramesh in the audience. He used to always say that when we spoke, he talked about Man Ki Baat, I would say Dhan Ki Baat. So I think even here now today, they have spoken matters of mind. Let me talk a little about the matters of wealth, hopefully. The point is this, that you heard this morning from Mr. Adani. This is India's century, decade, century, whatever you say. There are many, many great years ahead of us, and there is absolutely no reason why these should not be great years for the profession. I do believe when you extend this globally, yes, there are recessionary trends, there is inflation, but there will be opportunities that in a combined basis wherein India and the rest of the world, we can participate and collaborate. I would like to touch on a few of those. I would also talk about the demographic dividend that was talked about earlier this morning. The fact that I would pinpoint on and focus on is there are 375 million young Indians below the age of 25. We on average in our own firm have an average age of about 29 years. And I look at that as our future opportunity. It's an opportunity available to each one of us that you have such a young population. And this is the population that we have to tap. And when we say that we have 750,000 students, and we think it's an enormous number for a profession that graduates 20,000 people a year, we need to reflect upon this and say, why can't we put up the 700,000 students 5x so that we are at least a reasonable number on the young population of this country? And two, what do we need to do to inspire to join this profession that so many of us have called our calling, our livelihood, and whatever else? And the rest, you know, about the 7 trillion economy that is going to come, etc., etc. But I will bring an interesting point here, that the opportunities that all of them talked about are not just accounting opportunities. I think Sanjeev touched upon the fact that these are also data opportunities. Of course, Sanjeev, you did mention the lizard came out of the ledger. Now the virus comes out of the computer. So it's the same thing. It's a different lizard. I then move on to say that the fundamental premise I have is that our domestic market has to grow. The reason it has to grow is when you talk about 5 trillion, 7 trillion, put a number to it, whether it's 2027, 2030. I can't hazard 25 years because that's beyond my shelf life. But certainly I do believe that in 27, 5 billion will happen. And when you look at that growth, you can look at with all the uncertainties mentioned. I will add one more uncertainty to it, the foreign currency uncertainty. The fact that our currency is depreciating. The fact that our currency is depreciating is an advantage in the services industry. I believe it is also a great advantage in our domestic market. And why do I say that? I say that because for some of us who have been around a long time, there was a word called indigenization or import substitution. The reason why multinationals will come to India is because of the strength of our domestic market. And when they come, they will require suppliers, they will require their supply chain. This is the opportunity for India to say, welcome people to come in with their technology, but we will build the supply chain through our MSME sector. And this brings the opportunity not just to a few cities, it will be broadening the opportunity, not just on the service side where I believe the opportunities in Tier 2 and Tier 3, but also on the manufacturing side. So we must bear in mind that the domestic market growth will bring in its wake the investment, the need for financing and everything else that gives us opportunities as accountants. I still haven't talked about cyber risk controls and everything else because Chairman has given me only 7 or 8 minutes. 7 or 8, right? I've added a few. Please let me know when to stop. So therefore, I can talk about it, but inflation, geopolitics will be beneficial to us. The other reason why inflation will help us is when multinationals are rethinking their supply chains because of geopolitics. They are looking to other countries, they're looking to Vietnam and elsewhere, but certainly will look to India because in any case, they have to come for our domestic market. You're also looking at new esoteric areas, whether it is space and other areas, which are new, which require a lot of technology, which will get done out of India. And of course, given Quad and all the arrangements we have with countries such as Australia, Japan, you will find a lot of the defense investment will also come into India. So there is a lot of reason why investment is going to come, and we've got to gear for that opportunity. We can't do that with only 20,000 accountants a year. We need a lot more than that. The exponential opportunity comes from the GICs, or the Global Capability Centers. The reason being that as inflation hits a peak in other countries, and as the energy crisis refuses to dissipate, you will find countries are already thinking more, and that they have an aging population, as I mentioned earlier, countries will continue to push work into India. I think Subodh talked about the finance GICs. There are well over 100 which are pure finance GICs, but we've done a survey where 1,300 GICs exist in India, employing 9 million people. One opportunity I see is certainly for professionals that we should be a fair share of the 9 million people who work in these. A large part of this is operations, processes, controls, accounting. A large number of these multinationals actually do the bulk of their accounting out of India. And I do see the day, and it's not a day very far in the future, where the bulk of the audits will also get done out of India because the internal controls, the accounting, the data processing, the analytics, the cyber security, everything resides in this country. And therefore, this is where the question of collaboration comes with other countries in terms of how you collaborate as accountants to say, we certify for you and you sign off on financial statements. This is not only big or mid-sized firms to do. We are talking about 1,300 going to 1,700. This is a large number of companies, public and private, across the world, which will be offshoring to India. And you have to see how each one of us can take advantage of it, whether it's through accounting services, certifications, internal controls, and the like. The fourth disruption which was talked about was the pandemic. And there again, it taught us valuable lessons. It taught us about hybrid working. The jury is out as to whether hybrid is here to stay or not. I frankly don't form part of the jury. I believe it's going to stay in some shape or form. Will it be the only way or is it the only acceptable way? Absolutely not. At some point in time, for culture of the organizations, for training people, you will have to bring them all back. But hybrid has got another side to it, that you can sit anywhere in the world and do work anywhere in the world. And I mean, apart from tax and everything else that one has to take care of, this provides a great opportunity for the Indian accountant sitting in India to provide services elsewhere in the world as well. And these services, again, I would encourage you to say, because we are the people who are the custodians of data, must of necessity include technology services. Even if I look at our own SAP practice, there are a fair number of chartered accountants who are there because of the financial modules that are there, the tax modules that are there in SAP. I do believe that we have to look at our curriculum to say, how can we expand, one, the talent pool, and two, how do we then look at this talent pool as not only being accountants, but being broader as technologists? Because whether they sit in industry or whether they sit in the profession, you need to understand accounting, you need to know how to manage data if you have to be successful in the world in which we live. Can we do this? I don't think I'm just talking through my hat. I just look at benchmarks with others. I talked about 20,000 people who graduate as chartered accountants annually. The same country produces 5 million engineers. So we can get the number up. If I look in terms of training networks, I do believe, and this is probably my closing, Mr. Chairman, so that I can just close it out, that we should, as solutions, look in terms of, with the strong network of the institute, with the fact that we have 40 to 43, I think, branches overseas, the fact that we have a strong alumni. Another speaker referred to the fact that you have CEOs and CFOs of Indian origin. I would probably say that we celebrate our global CEOs of Indian origin. We do not sufficiently celebrate our CFOs and CIOs of Indian origin. There are a fair number of those as well. And therefore, we should look in terms of how chartered accountants can get more into information technology itself. It's part of the mainstream process. It's not something that somebody else does. It's something that we've got to own and accept. Our curriculum should take care of it. And perhaps a way in which we can also look at other jobs that have to be done in that. We already have a very good system in the institute in terms of, not getting to the membership level, but below that, whether it's a diploma or a step down. And we have to think, just like the engineers did, that you may have 23 IITs, but you also have 24 institutes of information technology and 15,000 industrial training institutes. We should think about how we can broad base the student community. We're getting people interested in the profession. All 750,000 won't become chartered accountants, but we certainly can provide them with other opportunities through diplomas, certifications, and other means to be able to play an important part in the communities which they serve. Well, that is the market. I think today, we talk about the fact that geopolitics is shutting countries down. I personally believe that technology has dissolved boundaries, and we are well positioned as a nation, as a unified profession globally which has common standards, to see how we can all collaborate and work across the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Venkat. We'll cut short question of the Venkat because he overshooted his time allotted to him. So we'll be giving more trouble to Krishnan and Balaji.
Sure.
First question to Krishnan. Krishnan, I will start with climate change because everybody talks about climate change. I don't know how many people understand what climate change is, but we talk about climate change. And when everybody is talking, even if I don't understand, I need to talk. So let me confess, I don't understand what climate change is. Climate change is one of the humanity's most pressing concern today. Everywhere, internationally, whichever platform, we start with climate change. Definitely, it is impacting. We are not looking today. We are talking climate change. That means we are futuristic. We are looking for the future generation also. And if I'm talking about climate change, as I said, I don't know climate change, but as a professional accountant, I'm definitely concerned. My concern is, as a professional accountant, what will be my role in the corporate world? As an auditor, capturing those unmonetized item, monetize and put it in my report. Over to you.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, as I said, it's a huge disruptor. And, you know, while there has been BRSR reporting and all that stuff, I think if you look at it more broadly, it disrupts everything. It disrupts everything which is part of our ecosystem. You look at anybody who's looking for capital. If the business concerned is not compliant or does not have a plan to get compliant, because, you know, when you actually want to get compliant with what are the requirements or what are the norms, and you are willing to undertake a transformation journey, there may be short-term pain, right? Now, has that short-term pain been budgeted, right? So, when we look at anything that I need, whether I need people, whether I need capital, whether I need technology, all of that today is actually predicated on how compliant am I to various indices which map me as to how am I doing on the ESG. Could be, as I said, you know, the local ones, could be the foreign ones, etc., etc. Today we are saying that, okay, a lot of people want to raise money overseas, and they need to necessarily come up with, you know, compliance requirements to meet overseas funding requirements. You want to raise green bonds, you want to raise, okay, today, you know, foreign debt may be a bit costly because of, you know, what's happening to our exchange rate, but be that as it may. If you want to do that, you will necessarily have to make sure that you are compliant or you have a journey which is outlined very, very clearly as to where will you go. Now, accountants play two roles, as I see. One, of course, is to make sure that anybody who reads your report gets the confidence that, yes, either they have done A, B, or C and D, which is required, or they are on a journey and this is the cost of getting to where they're telling us they'll get to. I think those are two very important elements. The third element, which is also, the second element, which I think is also very relevant, is that people who are undertaking that journey of being compliant is not easy. So let me give you a simple example. I mean, you know, it's very easy for me to say that I'm going to be net zero compliant by 2030. Well, when I say hopefully I've thought it through. It is not about me being compliant. It is about my entire ecosystem being compliant. My supply chain, which Venkatram was referring to, my supply chain also has to be compliant. Now, if the supply chain has to be compliant, there is potentially some change in my supply. Maybe I need to change my vendor because my vendor may be emitting too much carbon. So how will I tell the world that I am ESG compliant if my vendor is not ESG compliant? Now, if he is not ESG compliant, then I have to look at some other vendor. Then I maybe have to get my raw material from somewhere else. Now, these are all areas where people like us have a huge role to play. Not just in making sure that there is compliance, but what the norms are, what the specified norms are for either reporting or fundraising, or which creates trust in your employees and wider stakeholders, but also in terms of cost structure that I need to embrace and the short-term pain that I need to take to tell the world that I will be compliant and hence I'm trustworthy of either your capital or your time.
Can I give an audit reply?
Very short.
Yeah. Well, if I look at the immediate problem, the immediate need is that when you certify financial statements, we have certain estimates we look at, like say useful life of assets. And you say this plant is a continuous process plant, it has 30 years of life, 40 years of life, whatever. But if there are parts of that plant or if there are parts of the process that need change, because there is a commitment of the organization to get, to the standards by 2030, 2040, whatever, you have to see what replacement has to be done. Because finally, the investors look to you for two things, right? They want to know what the future cash flows of the company are and what is the valuation on the balance sheet. And both these are very severely affected by sustainability norms. I don't think that has got enough attention in the country yet, but people will realize that you will have not just depreciation, you will have to look in terms of write-offs from books of accounts on this basis, as well as what are the future cash needs of the organization to do the replacement.
I'll not comment what Venkat has commented. I'll leave it to both of them to understand and then fight. So I'll go to the Balaji. Balaji, with evolving conversations and regulations, what is the future of audit, accounting, and finance?
No, conversations can happen, but audit cannot be dispensed with. Audit has to stay, has to be there, because it is creating the trust and confidence in the financial reporting system and the prospects of the company. And therefore, the conversations can happen, but the trust will continue to be there, so long as the auditors perform the job diligently and with high quality. Like what has been told by eminent people, including Madam Nirmala Sitharaman, independence is going to be a very big factor in the whole trust building effort. And therefore, firms have to be conscious about the independent activities. While these opportunities may look exciting, many of them can also become conflicting. And therefore, one needs to evaluate the opportunities considering independence in mind before the perspective is looked at fully.
Okay, fine. Now, Venkat, for you. How can mid-sized firms, right now what we talked, it was more or less for the bigger firms, larger. I won't say big four, but larger firms. The question from the audience is, how can mid-sized firms procure work in the area of outsourcing? In this seemingly saturated market, nothing is saturated. It is always evolving. I mean, if it is not evolving, then there is no point practicing. Having some big players who are already settled. There is market will always be captured by somebody. You have to come, prove your capability, and then you need to have the share of the cake. Venkat.
Boss, the way I look at it is, today, opportunity is a flowing river. You just have to cup your hand and drink it. There is so much work going around. I mean, today, the way in which work is getting re-engineered globally is what they call operate. That is, how can you lift and do something that is being done by the company, by the professional firm. We know it in the form of accounting, right? I mean, a lot of us do the BPO services and other things. Think of an extension of it to tell your client that, look, you don't have to worry about some of the tax issues. We will solve your tax issues for you. Or we will do your tax compliance for you, your GST compliance for you. This is not big or small. This is a question of capability. This is about the use of technology. That's one piece of it in terms of how one can do it. The second is, I talked about the GICs. They also need people. They also need skills. And that skill does not necessarily have to only be provided with one set of service providers or the other. This is not certification where they say, I want the same person who did it for me somewhere else. And therefore, I think that looking in terms of those areas where you can provide people. Third is, you have to get into the whole area of I don't want to call it creating products because it's hard when you're small.
I'll interrupt you. Venkat, I am specific on mid-sized firm. The question is mid-sized firm.
Yeah, no, I'm talking
how
about
can they get the work? I mean, what kind of capacity should be there so that they can think of, at least they can start thinking that, yes, we can also, in a small way, we can start and then think of becoming bigger later on.
Okay. No, so I'm saying the capability build is around resourcing, which I was talking about, giving people with specific skills on certain projects. As you graduate, you do more of the BPO work. You can also think in terms of operate on a platform, as we call it, to say that for a group of clients or for a group, you do their entire tax outsourcing, for example. I would go one step further to say, also look at the fact that when companies come into the country to set up for our domestic market and are setting up their relationships with the MSMEs, in terms of providing the advisory to the MSMEs is also something that one has to start building out for. because the resurgence in the MSC market will come. Today, when we talk to the bankers also, they say the money is coming back. So far, people are talking about money being available, but no money was being spent. Now bankers say that yes, we will be looking towards committing the money. But you can also, think, I would say, go further and look beyond just accounting is the main message that I'm giving.
Okay.
Don't just look at the core accounting and tax. You can look in terms of also the outsourcing and everything else that you can do.
Probably that is the larger message everybody, all the panelists should like to give to all the audience. I mean, those who are online.
And we can do it within the ambits of independence, right? Don't do it for clients where you're providing audit services and other things. The reciprocal market is always very large.
So my next question to Krishnan, to you. Again, on technology disruption. What does it mean to be a professional accountant in the world? Though we had talked much about the technology disruption, where technological disruption is transforming and how we function and how can professional accountants use technology to make it more effective. I mean, at a lesser cost. Again, if I ask any question, keep in mind that my question is towards how the mid-core and small firms also can be benefited. Those sitting far in B-level or C-level cities, they can also be benefited. Not only sitting in Mumbai, Calcutta, Chennai, etc.
Sure. No, so I think first of all, I think technology is not something that we can fear anymore. I mean, we're talking about technology as a disruptor, so we need to be able to embrace it. We talked about things like blockchain. Can they actually help us do contract reviews quickly? I mean, can they actually help us do contracting very, very quickly? I mean, that's one of the use cases of it. We were talking about COVID. Right? I mean, let me give you another use case. Remote cameras, they are not very difficult. I mean, remote cameras, everybody can put. When you do stock taking, can you use in a meta environment, can you use remote cameras to do stock taking when COVID was very difficult, or in places where you find it hard to go? So I think, you need to look at what use cases technology can do. Yes, you can use a PC to deliver results quicker, you can analyze data quicker, etc. You can do a lot more checking rather than doing 25% checking, you go to 80% checking, etc., etc. All that is one part of the equation. But the other part of the equation is that because our clients, even smaller clients, I must say, even smaller clients have actually adopted technology. So one of the key things is that we need to be able to keep pace with whatever they are doing, right? Because otherwise we can't be archaic about it, and that also requires certain amount of upskilling on our side. We talk about digital. Today everybody is in a digital mode. Today everybody is talking about, if you look at, for instance, what's happening on the SEBI PMAC, for instance, there was a discussion which happened, and they came up with this, that we need to be able to, for new age companies, talk about some of the key performance indicators. Now, any kind of accounting firm, if they are going to review that means that they will have to look at reams and reams of data. How will you certify that, okay, this is the amount of conversion that has happened, or this is the amount of cross-selling that has happened? Because the guy is going to actually put it on his information memorandum. Now, to do that, we need to get our people trained to be able to deliver on that. So people training and making sure that we are not fearing technology, but embracing it and figuring out how in my day-to-day things, as I gave you two examples, whether it is blockchain, whether it is adopting, let's say in physical verification, etc. How can we embrace it? I think that's the path that we need to be able to take. I think I'll just say one more thing. Today the biggest thing on technology to my mind, and which is not very difficult to crack, you talk about artificial intelligence, we talk about blockchain, we talk about the ABCD, and you're referring to the ABCD of technology. I think simply if we were to just be able to do a lot more analytics on data, we also heard what the NAFRA chair said yesterday, and if we can simply do a lot more intense diagnostics and analytics on the data that we get, I can say that we will be able to achieve what the NAFRA chair said yesterday in his statements. So I think that's where the adoption of technology is going to be extremely, extremely critical as we move forward in time.
So the point Krishnan drive home very clear and loudly that upgrade, whatever line or domain you are working in. If you are in IT, because we talk about IT, whether we have upgraded ourselves, our team with the IT. Number two, our infrastructure, logistics. Though for mid-firm, probably the softwares are at throwaway prices. If B, C, great city people are working, there will be small software requirement, and many softwares are free also. If you are working for a large company, definitely you need to have a more secured and safe software. Then you can bear also that way. So software and capacity built up, these are the two important things that you need to have. Thank you very much. Now, the next question.
Quick one.
Yeah.
I also would like to emphasize that the government is building out very robust platforms which are helpful to us. And I'll just give an illustration of that as to what startups are doing, for example. You find a lot of the, because of the fact that government has built JAM, they've also built the UPI interface, it's giving a lot of support to even the small startups to say that we can do it on the central platforms that are being built by the government itself. These platforms, when they get built, we should also look at to say, how does it help us in the work we do? Say, for example, look at GST platform. And you may say, if I'm doing an audit and I have to do an alternative test because I didn't get a confirmation from a debtor, look at that same stack which you get in GST and say, can I see whether a debtor has actually got goods delivered to him by looking at the GST information, for example. So I'm saying that a lot of change is happening in the universe around us. Tap into that as well, even if you don't have the technology yourself.
Venkat, unless and until you have the capable manpower, I mean, updated manpower, whatever free you are given, as I said, that you need to have that manpower first.
100%.
You may get the software free, of course, but if you don't know how to operate it has no point. In fact, on web you will find that for a small company, host of software is available, host of software, but still our mindset need to get changed that no, we have to work in that. And one good thing in COVID that happened, that everything, evidence is created, because you are now getting previously, no small clients used to give the data on the email. They used to say that come and take the hard copy. Today, everything you are getting on email, so evidence is created. So that way you are very safe, thanks to COVID. Now, my next question to Balaji, for you only. So I don't know why I again come back to you, because Balaji, the pious name comes from my mouth, Balaji. How can we attract, how to attract more professional talent in the profession? I find that the in practice, the number is coming down like anything. Previously, when I started practice, by force I had to start practice. It would have been better if I would have joined in service or industry. But I'm happy today, I'm happy. In practice, the number is dwindling. No youngsters wants to come to the practice. Everybody is looking at the industry. So how to attract? Number one, how to attract talent in the profession. Number two, because demand is huge. The way our GDP, and we are, galloping from 5th position. So certainly, we will not wait for 30 or 35 to come to 2nd position. Will come much faster, because from number 40, richest person, we became number 2, maybe in quick succession, 3, 4, 5 months itself. So that will also be very, not a dream, it will come true. So how to attract the talent?
See, one of the expectations and limitations today is that the younger generation wants to play with technology. And as CA professionals, we are very slow in adopting technology. Therefore, there is a big gap, expectation gap between what the younger professionals want to do and what the CA professionals are offering. Today, my audit is being done even on a traditional basis. I still do sampling. I don't even get into a data analytics, which is possible. Now, younger generation wants to be very smart and efficient in whatever they do. They are not liking the traditional way of doing things. So, CA firms have to adopt to newer things and technologies and way of doing things. That will definitely draw attraction to the younger professionals to come into the profession. That is going to be the core. And second is the environment, training environment, which you're going to give them for their development. Because today, everybody is busy on delivering jobs, but the focus on training is getting minimized a bit. I think that emphasis has to come back on training, because when I did my articleship, though it was traditional, there was significant amount of training. My 3 years of articleship was only training. It laid a strong foundation.
Yeah.
Can I? I think two more things. I think first and foremost is that we need to talk up the value of trust. Trust is something which, at times you take for a given.
right? That it is a tick in the box exercise. It is not. We're talking about, how everything that we look at needs to be trusted. And I think at times we do not, and that's my second point. Trust cannot be cheap. Trust cannot come cheap. We're talking about upskilling our people because there is technology intervention. Everything is, even in small firms, as you mentioned, they are embracing technology. We need to upgrade people. That will require a cost. And that's only when the profession will be able to provide trust at the level that our customers want the trust to be provided. Trust can never come cheap. So those two things, we need to talk up the value of trust for the stakeholders, and two, not provided cheap.
One question too, probably it is in everybody's mind, it is not related to our this particular session. NAFRA has come. NAFRA is there. And some of panelists talked about yesterday the statement of the NAFRA chief also, and today also he was present there. Now the kind of report that has come from NAFRA, people are skeptical about doing the audit, and the kind of restriction that is put on, the definition of the management consultancy that has been expanded, that means your revenue is going to be reduced drastically. And in India, we are talking of unless and until, and you talked about the cost. If your revenue, you are not able to increase, and you go on increasing cost, and then there is a sword hanging by way of NAFRA. That's a very good welcome. I will say that though we resisted NAFRA tooth and nail, but then quality has to be the hallmark of the profession, and the profession has survived because it is the quality in all sphere, whatever education, training, exam, and then delivery also. Though people talk about that, sometimes they talk every kind of things. And in a society, if we are on the top notch now, people will try to throw mud on you, and you need to be ready. Like on Modi, today he's there, so there will be some people who will be throwing mud on that. So you need to take it into your stride. So when NAFRA is there, people are skeptical about the audit. I'm talking, now I'm limiting myself to audit because our area was not audit. We were very broad. We are talking financial services also, not only accounting also. So how do you look at, any one of you can answer, then add on, small, one or two liner. Now this situation, how do you look at? So can we start with Venkat, with you?
Look, three things are fundamental for accountants. Integrity, quality, and professional skepticism. I think we all have to reflect and say, particularly on the issue of professional skepticism, where there's so many distractions around us, such as, all the other services you can provide, how you attract people to the profession is not because you say you will be an auditor all your life, but you become an auditor, qualify, and then, you can get into forensic, you can get into transaction services, etc., etc. So you can do a host of other things once you are a chartered accountant. Integrity, quality, professional skepticism are key. But what we need is audit quality indicators. There should be very great clarity in every organization as what are the processes and steps you require for quality. Secondly, how do you perfect the audit you do? Today, a lot of it is also being looked at through centralized delivery. To say there are certain parts of the audit process that we can do centrally. Say, for example, you look at something like, say, bank confirmations, for example. Instead of saying everybody does bank confirmations, can you have a specialist to do it? Similarly, you look at very complex accounting. How do you have specialists? How do you have those pods where you say, these are my specialists, and everyone in the firm, big or small, would consult these people? The reason why I say big or small is, even for smaller firms, we can do it centrally with the help of the institute and others. We can certainly coordinate and say, how do you get specialized advice on very complex issues?
Krishan, over to you.
No, I think I completely concur with what Venkat said. I think the only other element that I'll add is independence. Many of us, for instance, have taken the view already that for public interest enterprises, if we are actually doing something on the trust side, we will not do any other work. And we're absolutely proud of the move that we took. I think independence is extremely, extremely important because that again goes to building trust. If I'm independent, I can build trust better in the stakeholders who receive my report.
Balaji, over to you.
So I will follow the agreement route. I completely
So all
subscribe
are
to
agreeing with Sitharaman. Madam Sitharaman yesterday said that independence has to be there to build trust. So
I have only
find
one
that-
expansion. It should not be only accountants. Why don't you catch the lawyers? Why don't you catch the company secretaries? Everybody on the same level of independence.
No need for clapping, my dear friends. We
Why
need to
only us?
introspect ourselves and we need to prove that yes, we are the hallmark of the quality and we
Yes,
need
so-
to prove quality. We should not be scared with the NAFRA.
Yeah.
Why to scare NAFRA if we are delivering quality? Now, the point they all three try to deliver, that specialization. Don't look at internal audit, concurrent audit, statutory audit, everything you want to do without having the capacity. Have the vertical that yes, this is my vertical which will be doing the concurrent audit, this the GST, this will be the GST. If you have all kind of vertical, then definitely capacity built up will be there. You will get the client. Suppose if I'm doing under one person giving all the services, I always say that if I'm charging 1,000 rupees, why bigger firms are charging 1 lakh rupees? Because they have a vertical. So that vertical is specialized. There they can put money. If they are putting cost, they are able to recover the cost. So that kind of mindset, and then consolidation. Probably consolidation is the buzzword that we need to, because Modi ji also want that we need to demonstrate 50 or 100 larger firms, not big four, larger firms. Through consolidation, we can probably do that. So that we are there. So any question from audience? Very pertinent question only I will allow. If you feel that your pertinent questions, I'll allow the last person sitting on the last, because he has some minus point. He is not able to see us. So
We have some live questions. Online, 3 questions are ready.
yeah. Please introduce, mic is
Mike
there.
Vijay on.
Sanu, mic is required for the audience. We will allow.
We can send these mics.
Yeah.
Ask one of the photographers or something.
Please introduce yourself and then very short question. Because a lot of hands has been raised and online also we have a lot of questions.
Thank you very much to the August Dias for allowing me to ask question. बहुत सिंपल सा एक क्वेश्चन है और आप लोग नफरा के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं और वो भी उसकी रिपोर्ट के बारे में। तो नफरा की एक रिपोर्ट में जो हम बात कर रहे हैं उसमें कहा गया एक स्टेंजा में कि जितना भी ऑडिट फंक्शन 13 लाख कंपनीज का हो रहा है वो सब इज शैम, SHAM शैम। What's the first-hand impression and the reaction of the world chartered accountant community and the world accountant community about the NAFRA's report on the accountancy profession in India, where they have suggested that the audit of 13 lakhs odd companies should be abolished. Thank you very much.
Dear friends, probably we all sitting here are not competent. We have got representative of the council sitting here. I'll forward this question to him to take it to the council and discuss there, discuss the report there. Sorry, sir, we can't answer to your question right now. Yeah, gentlemen, sir, this side.
Can I ask a question here?
So, Ajab, fine.
Yeah, I'm Keshav Garg. I'm from Chandigarh. I've been listening to it. Just as you rightly said, we are talking about technology, we are discussing technology, and as a small size and a mid-sized firm, we are not able to understand what technology we are actually putting on paper. What technology is the need of the customer at this point of time? Because we have been into that traditional practice, understanding accountancy, Excel, or maybe some other functions of it. And at times, you are zapped as to where you should be investing your time, building your capacity, and taking this further. And at times, it is seen that you proceed in a direction, and probably at the end of the day, you don't achieve it. So that is where most of these small size and mid-sized firms are struggling. And when I came to this session, my friend here, he specifically told this, that whosoever is sitting here is probably struggling and looking for the opportunities forward. So when we say technology, how does it that I think, yes, this is something to be brought in, and this is the requirement of my client in a tier 2 and tier 3 city.
Fine. The backside light has been switched off. So that means it's an indicator we have very short time. And friends, I'll request you, the question should be one-liner only. Thank you very much. Though the question, the answer, most of the audience panelists has already given. Murgi pehle ki anda. There is anecdote in Hindi. Murgi pehle ki anda. Anda pehle aana chahiye ki murgi pehle aana chahiye. So now you are a qualified person, but still, any one of you in a one line answer the question? Or friend, after the session is over, I can discuss with you because I am also a mid-sized firm. I am not a large firm. I can discuss with you. I can answer to this question.
No, I think you have to look, sorry. Yeah. Is it a supplementary to the same or?
No. Yeah, this side, please.
Hello? This was one of the really a fascinating session and one of the most entertaining moderation. Really,
friend,
thank you.
very,
So, okay,
very
quickly, getting to the point. There is
a Thanksgiving
okay.
giving opportunity.
So, my question is on cryptocurrencies. We talked about trust. Bitcoin is the most trustless currency. And there is so much of activity happening in India. 100 million crypto users, 640% adoption growth in the last year. As accountants, what are we doing with respect to cryptocurrencies? Like there is Dubai, there is US, a lot of reform is taking place. But as an accounting community, I feel or I would urge like we should also take steps like Mr. Balaji mentioned, like we are laggards in terms of technology. What can we do as a CA community to push forward cryptocurrency, which is a phenomenon, which is happening, which is here to stay, and there is a lot of investment in digital assets globally. Thank you.
Who will answer? Yeah.
I can take that. So, there is always this, we always get to understand from our clients what's happening. The regulation will have to be obviously made by the government. They have already started the journey by indicating in the last budget as to how they wish to treat this. Thankfully in India, it is not a very new phenomenon. It's still reasonably young. But I think what we could do is actually, because we are actually experiencing our clients, whether they are retail clients, whether they are corporate clients, etc., dealing with this. Now, what are the challenges that are emanating from the government standpoint and any regulator standpoint and any regulation standpoint? I think the moot thing is, how does it create public good, or how does it make sure that, your and my hard-earned money is not disparaged? So I think there is a certain amount of feedback that we need to give. People can call it different words. People can call it advocacy or whatever else, etc. But I think it's absolutely important for us as a community to be able to say, because our clients are the ones who are actually, dealing with this at this point in time, to be able to tell the regulators that this is what our clients are experiencing. This is creating, let's say, challenges in the way we deal, in the way we transact. We know that it's now subject to tax, but beyond tax, so that they can make appropriate regulation. And of course, what we can also do is to say, learn from overseas regulations. Of course, it all depends on the maturity of the market, because this is a new thing, right? The maturity of the market will have to be looked at when you look at any kind of regulation, but also to be able to say how it has been regulated overseas. I think that if we can do those two things, give the feedback as to what our ecosystem is experiencing, and two, learn from the overseas regulation and actually feed that back in again. We don't need to necessarily always give that, okay, this is what should necessarily be done. We don't need to do that. I think they're wiser people who know how they can deal with it, but at least if we can give the feedback on both sides, that'll be useful.
Thank you, Krishnan. I will give chance to PR Ramesh. Probably he will be asking the question to the PwC only. But PR Ramesh, after one question. But I'm sure your question is not for Venkat, it is for Krishnan only. But don't ask any pinching questions. Huh? I'll give you a chance. First to, after 2 minutes. First to Abhay. Abhay, the question that has come online. Thereafter PR Ramesh. Huh?
Hello. Yeah, thank you, sir. We have questions which has come through the app as well as online. So just a question on how do you feel the basic accounting and audit work will stay in the new technology area like blockchain, automation, artificial intelligence? So that is one question which has come. And what are the areas to be focused by young CAs, and how to start and platform where we can get such opportunities?
Let me start with just an example.
A very small answer.
Example on AI, right? And this started a few years ago, where there was a startup in Canada, and simultaneously there's also a startup in India which did the same thing, which said that if you do a PDF scan of documents, it would read the documents, it could compare the documents. So say I'm doing an audit of an IT company. I can put in 5 customer contracts, or if I'm doing leasing, I can put in 5 leases. It will compare the leases and tell you, based on the keywords you put in, as to what are the terms of renewal, what is the period of the lease, is there any early break clause, etc. And it can also compare to say, for similar thing, what are the clauses in each of those agreements. And over time, the AI kicks in because as you scan thousands of documents into it, it also gives you the best practice. So what used to take us, say, a month to do an audit of reading those customer contracts, you could do in a week. And perhaps later on, you could even do it in less time. That is an example of how you can use AI in an audit.
No, but the question is...
That is the question I thought.
No, AI and how it is going to impact the audit in a smaller forms.
No, it talks about the basic accounting and audit work.
Whether
will
that
stay
will
in new
remain.
technology.
It's
So
in technology. Will they stay or it will go away?
the basic accounting, like people do it in Tally or other softwares which we use.
No,
So
this is
it's
basically
basic.
an audit process that you're doing. It is not a question of whether it is in Tally or whether it is in SAP. No? I'm talking about the audit procedure as my example.
Anybody else will like to add on?
No, basic accounting has to be there. Debits and credits have
That
to
will
be
never
there.
go away.
Your artificial intelligence comes after the basic accounting. So therefore, the basic
Ramesh, to you.
accounting can never go.
Ramesh, over to Ramesh.
Thank you, Chairman. This has been a wonderful session. I'll ask a question which is actually pinching me, not pinching any of you. And I've heard a lot, and we've talked about opportunities which are there. Like so many fish in an ocean, the question is, how do I catch the fish? So I have 4 points which could be enablers or disablers, and I would like your views. First is, if anybody has to avail of an opportunity or seek an opportunity, he needs financial muscle. You talked of sourcing talent, sourcing infrastructure, etc. Why can't we allow private investment into accounting firms? Second, a CFO once asked me, Mr. Ramesh, we don't know your capabilities because you are not showcasing your capabilities. So why don't we allow advertising across the profession? People will not give work merely based on your advertisement. The medical profession advertises, every other sector where we compete with advertisers, why can't we allow? Third is we tie ourselves with handcuffs saying, you are a CA, you can't do A, B, C, D, but those are opportunities of the future. So why don't we remove the shackles on CAs and say, please feel free to do any professional service? And the fourth is we compete with ourselves. You have 3 institutes, each one claims they are the best in their field, and others don't know anything. Why don't you all merge and provide the top of the landscape is so wide for all of us then? Thank you very much.
The question is not for panelists. The question is for me to answer. Even though in the presence of the council member, I can respond to these questions. We are opening up. We are opening up. It's not that we are not opening. Ramesh, you had been part of the many issued meeting committees and government committees also, and you have helped the issued on all platforms also. Private investment in talent, advertising, yes. In slower pace, it has been allowed, not the way in surrogate manner. See, I'm not pointing out towards anybody. In surrogate manner, the advertisement is done, it is not allowed. But in a gentleman manner, though I am always told that no, you are pro this, against that. No, I am not pro or against anybody. In a gentleman manner, allowed. Yes, it need to open up. It need to open up. Shackles. Friend circles are required because conflict of interest, and today, the International Code of Ethics we have adopted, and though it has been tried to be deferred for some time and again, but most of the part of the ethical standard has been adopted by the council over the time. So shackles has been tried to be loosened because we don't, independence again, if I come back to the independence, then this kind of shackles is required to be there. so that there is no conflict of interest. And most of the cases in our country, we find that in the same client, we try to give all the services by creating 2 firms, 3 firms, or 4 firms, but that cannot be allowed. I mean, that again, I'm using the very bad word surrogate, merge and merge. For merge, institute merge, what you are talking about. I could get your point. For merge, we are allowing, boss. You can merge. That's why we talked about the capacity building. But I can't comment on institute merger. That is open. Again, those matter I'm giving back to the many council members, those who are sitting here. Point, we always discuss, deliberate. 2014, 13, when I was president, we deliberated. I'm sure that my respected council members sitting here also are discussing on that. Yes, the gentleman who has raised the longest hand on the back, yes. Quick, please. Quick mic, please. Sanu. Pardon?
Go ahead.
No, he is not loud. I mean, your voice is not loud. If I would have been there, I would have spoken. Because Abhijit, I always used to tell him, you are Abhijit A, but number 1 will be I, myself only.
I have a suggestion, sir.
Yes, please, go ahead.
To improve the audit quality, basically we are talking about talent, this one. Now, I am a firm with limited clients. I am doing audit, let's say. But my audit capabilities may not be, because of so many complexities, I will not be able to focus so many areas. If I have a partner who can be common to other firms, the RBI rules for bad audit purposes or C&AG purposes, what happens is, person who is an exclusive partner, he has to be exclusive partner. If a person is a partner in multiple firms, then he is not counted as the exclusive partner. So he will not be able to get bank audits, or he will not be counted there. So if a person is allowed to be partner in multiple firms and still allowed to be counted as a partner for the purpose of audit, then I will be able to engage the competent person, and people also will be interested in making this as a big profession.
Okay, I could get your question. I will answer the question. I don't think they can answer the questions. This is again a regulatory matter where your concern I am forwarding to the council members. But I think that this restriction is very much required. You want for CAG purpose, RBI purpose, or you want actual audit purpose? You are talking that you taken a partner who is in multi-firm. For a specialized purpose you are getting the benefit. Why you want the benefit for the empanelment purpose, for the CAG or for the bank empanelment? You are not getting that, you don't get, but you are getting the actual benefit. That is my answer. But again, Abhay, please note down and take it to the council. Last question from Bhubaneswar. Mahendarji. Eastern region, my region. That's why I will give a priority. Your partner has already, your friend has already asked. Mic, please. Can somebody give the mic? Just mic. The gentleman sitting on your back was. Try. कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं Mahendarji, I agree with you, but our session is on emerging opportunity, not on a regulatory matters. But the questions coming more on regulatory matters. Fine, I've got your point. Yeah. Because emerging opportunities has to be with independence. And moreover, your matter has been discussed, I mean, the matter you raised has been discussed in the council many times, and institute is putting its best effort. But then, you see, the government has to come on board, and it cannot be brought on board immediately. So working is going on. It will take its own time. Because, you see, you are demanding, but then the industry need to agree to that. If industry does not agree, they are bigger stakeholder. So every time they will say, why the chartered accountant approached the ministry to extend the date? It should be industry, not the chartered accountant. Then you will say that, Subodh ji, you will call Subodh Agrawal, Subodh ji, date kyun nahi extend hua? Sir, why you are concerned? You should keep mum. No further debt extension for tax audit or for audit is required. Let industry go. Here you want what industry is resisting. So it's a matter where government has to bring industry professional together, and they are working on that. And if then let us see the last question. Yeah, please come up a little bit loudly. This will be the last question. I think this is the best question. I mean, you all three in a one line can answer.
When I started, it was Big 8.
So you reduce this to Big 5.
Then, it is like that sitting on the wall.
ये आपस में झगड़ा करके Big 5, Big 8 से Big 5 कर दिया, Big 4 कर दिया. झगड़ा नहीं करने का, इसलिए
I think in the interest of independence, we'll give it to Balaji to give. So that
yeah,
both of
okay,
us
fine. No. You are Indian. You may be multinational, but you are Indian. Ultimately, you are Indian. You always claim that 10,000 persons are Indian chartered accountants. So we are Indian.
Independence.
Why you treat yourself as a foreign firm?
We are Indian.
देखो सर, बात एक ही करने का, इधर उधर अलग अलग बात नहीं करने का है. क्या बालाजी? No. See, that leave it on me who to answer, not on you. Please sit. Till I am moderator, I am the boss here. Yeah, Balaji.
Yeah, so this is a big question. So today, if you look at the NAFRA data of the companies which are covered by NAFRA and the auditors for that, what I noticed was that there are about 7,000 companies which are covered by NAFRA, and there are close to more than 3,000 auditors auditing those companies, which means the Indian practice is completely fragmented. With that fragmented, you can never ever have, forget about a big 10, 100, you can't even big 1,000. You have to consolidate. The concept of networking has to pick up in India, and that's the only way you can build up scale, capability, and capacity to question or challenge, be a challenger for the Big Four. Till the consolidation happens, nothing will work. And for consolidation, what is required? You need to have an open mindset to look at the possibilities such a consolidation can provide, rather than look at your current position, power, egos. You should keep aside all of that. That is very important, and that mindset has to come to the CS.
Probably there cannot be better answer than this. Specialization, don't try to be jack of all, number one. Consolidation, clean your mind. कि मेरी practice कोई और लेके चला जाएगा. Let him take away. If the client is not staying or sticking with you, that client you can't retain. So consolidation, as I said in my previous example, if you are charging 1,000 rupees, the moment you consolidate, your fee will increase to 10,000 rupees. If you are staying in 200 square feet, the client will never increase your fee from 1,000 to 2,000 rupees. But the moment you make your office of 1,000 square feet or 2,000 or 5,000 square feet, the same client will pay you 10,000 rupees. This take from me, you are youngsters. I mean, you need to start this and propagate this, that we can have Indian firms, top 50 Indian firms. If we change our mindset, nothing is required. Technical expertise. Big Four has all Indian talent only. Not a single foreign talent is sitting in India. We go and sit with Big Four, but we don't want to come together. You don't want to join Subodh Agrawal, a mid-sized firm, but you will go and join Big Four. So if Subodh Agrawal also does not want to take you, उसको भी डर है कि कहीं मेरा काम लेके फिर भाग नहीं जाए, फिर मैं small firm बन जाऊँ. So if the mindset we are able to change, that is specialization and consolidation. Friends, I can guarantee next 5 years, we will have next 10 India-made big firms.
As auditor, physical verification, when we started out, we had 1,000 square feet. Ask Ramesh.
So now
right.
over to organizers.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
As I said, 7
You have to
o'clock.
consolidate.
Upper limit I have taken.
Up to 7.
No, it's 7.
Thank you so much, all the gentlemen. I can see that it was quite interactive, impressive, and above all, interesting session because audience was also participating. Thank you so much, audience, for being so interactive, for all the questions that you had for our panel. But just wait for 2 minutes. Let's felicitate our moderator and the panelists. So first of all, I would like to call upon CA Abhay Chajar to felicitate CA Subodh Kumar Agrawal, past president ICAI. Can we please put your hands together? Every one of you, come on.
Hey, I'm very hot.
Very well deserved.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. It was pleasure listening you. Next, I would like to call upon CA Vishal Doshi, CCM ICAI, to felicitate CA and Venkatram, Managing Partner and CEO, Deloitte, Haskins and Sells LLP.
See, Vishal is Vishal. He's taller than everybody.
Come on, everyone. The session is yet not over. Next, I would like to call on stage CA Purushottam Lalji Khandelwal, CCM ICAI, to give away the memento to CA Sanjeev Krishan, Non-Executive Chairperson, Price Waterhouse and Affiliates.
Additional G was given to you. Purushottam Lal G.
Next, I would like to call on stage CA Piyush Chajar, CCM ICAI, to give away the memento to CA Balaji V, Managing Partner, True and Fair Professionals Network.